The premise is simple. Can we create the most entertaining team in FM26 using data? With USL Dunkirk, it's going to take a while, but we're off to a good start, promoted from Ligue 2 at the first time of asking. The pressure is now on. We've got to survive in Ligue 1 with a wage budget less than half that of our nearest competitors. At the end of the last episode, I introduced a new metric: excitement factor. It's the combination of open play key passes, dribbles and shots, a way of measuring how often a player does something exciting. We were pretty good at it, better than every other team in Ligue 2. But before we can use it to sign players, it needs refinement. Here are the issues. It currently treats each metric equally, but whilst every key pass results in a shot, not every shot has a key pass. Dribbles are more common than other actions, and not all positions are equal either. Is it really fair to measure a centre-back's output to a striker's? We need to introduce weightings. Now, I don't have the time to type out every player's output, and with the export functionality not in FM26, here's what I did. Create a simple view with just the information I need. Increase text to the largest size possible. Sort by minutes and screenshot every squad. I'm doing just the French leagues and Belgian Jupiler Pro. Crop the images so it's just the table of data. Group them together and export as a single image. Use a free online OCR tool to convert to a spreadsheet. Remove loan players, standardise league name and set correct formatting. Laugh at inaccuracies like Alan Epi 616, Mooseborn Beto, and Yee Maranga. Calculate positional averages based on Ligue 1 because that's where we'll be playing next season. Divide a player's actions by the average for their position and combine them together to get a positional excitement factor. We're not done yet. Use Opta rankings to get relative league strength. Multiply positional score by league ranking, then standardise to 100. And there we have it. Christian Mawissa is the most exciting player in French and Belgian football. More accurately, he's the biggest outlier in his position group. Unsurprisingly, overlapping centre-backs and back threes graded very highly here. After all, they impact the final third much more than their boring centre-back counterparts. This is fine. We're specifically looking for the most entertaining player per position, not necessarily the best. With that in mind, let's take a look at our squad. Goalkeepers aren't assessed by this method, but we have some movement here. Lavan made some outrageous contract demands, so we sold him to SC Amiens. Niflor's loan comes to an end, so he returns to Toulouse. Our centre-backs provided below average excitement. Sasa is retiring, the faceless Mayella was sold. That leaves us with just Elez, who is serviceable. Our fullbacks were an absolute delight. Abner Felipe comes third for excitement factor amongst all left-backs. Georgian is fourth amongst right-backs, Lingay 11th. Kondo got a raw deal. He covered both left-back and centre-back, so his numbers look bad. He'll continue to cover both, whilst Enjoy has been loaned out. At the base of our midfield, we need an overhaul. Iguarash has agreed a free transfer to Olympia. Tete was our best midfielder, but not good enough to be the important player he so desires to be, so he's been sold to Vita Club. Malik Diop failed to impress when he got minutes, so was sold to Clermont-Ferrand. The ever-injured Roman Amalfitano was released. Our wingers were great. Silvestre contributed across the board, with Yassin a dependable backup. Papadiong made the most open play key passes amongst left wingers. Unfortunately, he returns to Strasbourg after his loan. Dahu couldn't get minutes in Ligue 2, he's not going to be ready for Ligue 1, so he's been loaned out. Behind the striker, Bardelli made the most open play key passes amongst attacking midfielders. Sekongo, often used against easier opposition, was also very impressive. Up front, Robinet, who had the 7th highest X factor amongst strikers, got into shooting positions frequently. Assimi and Kante got on the pitch infrequently. Assimi has been released, Kante sold. We need reinforcements, so back to the spreadsheet. I sorted by excitement factor, then shortlisted 5 players per position. They had to be realistic. No point in shortlisting Christian Mawissa He'd neither be interested in joining, nor could we afford his transfer fee or wages. So let's talk budgets. We're currently spending 73k per week on wages. That gave us an overall spend of 3 million euros this season. In the bottom half for Ligue 2. For Ligue 1, that's a third of the lowest spenders. We will need to push that budget up. We're going to aim to double our budget, up to 150k per week. That's roughly 6k per week per player, and I'd implement a cap of double that, 12k per week, as the most we'd spend on a single player. That leaves us with a transfer budget of just over 4 million euros. That's going to massively impact who we can sign, and inform some of our decisions to sell. We reduced our wage budget by about 23.5k. Our first priority is keeping our stars. Enzo Bardet was exploring his options, but we've convinced him to stay for 11.5k per week. Yassin, entering the last year of his contract, has also been extended for 7.25k per week. That's a combined increase of 9k per week. Back to the shortlisting. I shortlisted the top 5 affordable players per position, but each shortlist also had to include at least one player available on a free transfer. If they were in that top 5, great. If not, then it's the top 4 affordable players plus the highest ranked free transfer. Centre-backs consists of 2 shortlists, right-footers and left-footers. And yes, that is the infamous Moanga. He might be second in scoring, but he's first in my heart, and so he becomes our record signing. 1.5 million euros from Montpellier, 9.75k per week. So we're going cheap on our left-footed option. Harold Voyer is the highest scoring free transfer option. Previously at Le Mans, he'll earn 4.5k per week. Defensive midfield options also consist of 2 shortlists, those with best position as defensive midfielder and those with best position as central midfielder. Serhij Storchik is a perfectionist available on a free transfer, 9.5k per week. Sami Benchama arrives to partner him for 425k from Rodev, just 3.6k per week. Maxime Etouin was the lowest scoring central midfielder, but the highest scoring free transfer central midfielder, 4.1k per week. And considering the attacking midfield slots all as one, that's 3 shortlists, right wingers, left wingers and attacking midfielders. I'm primarily looking for depth here, so it's again the free transfers that pique my interest. Amadou Sagna, listed as a right winger but likely to play on the left, arrives on 4k per week. He'll be joined by Lenny Pirangel, listed as an attacking midfielder. He'll earn 2.3k per week. Up front might be hard to improve on Robinet, but Bruni and Simba had the 11th highest X factor amongst strikers and is available on a free transfer, 7k per week. That's 8 players in, 2 million euros spent, an average wage of 5.6k per week. But we're not done. We need goalkeepers and we don't have a metric for that. It's time for our scouts to shine. There's just 4 of them, and with Western Europe as our range, that's where they've been deployed. Every recruitment focus is the same: any position, any age, half-star current ability, 1-star potential. Then we assign the leagues in that country and set it to ongoing. The focus here is just building a pool of players. We're going to be making our own judgment on them anyway, but a player that's already scouted can speed up the process. Like with Moanga, we didn't need to wait to see if he was injury prone, so we could start the buying process as soon as the season ended. Back to the goalkeepers, and from our pool of scouted players, we're going to focus on one attribute.
Because what's more exciting than eccentricity?
There's a clear frontrunner. Vitoria's Charles arrives for 325k and 5k per week. He'll be backed up by Hugo Barbe, another free transfer earning 1.2k per week. We're still not done. Our left-back shortlist showed that whilst Abner Felipe was incredible, there was a whole load of viable options for this position. Felipe, in the last year of his contract, wanted higher wages than Ryan Hatcham, so out went the incumbent for 625k to go ahead Eagles. In came the Red Star left-back for 300k and 6k per week. That brings our spending up to 2.6 million euros, with 2 million recouped in outgoings. our wage spend is up to 144k per week, just under our target. Our final squad looks something a little like this. With just the league and domestic cup to worry about, we've kept it quite thin. Players like Kondo, Masuk, Sikongo and Piringel will be expected to cover multiple positions. We've gone for a similar profile of player to the ones they've replaced, so there's no change to the tactic. But here's a reminder of what we're running with. It's a 4-2-3-1, with the wingers dropping out of possession. Bardet and Georgian are high flair players, so they've been given playmaking roles. Our best passing pivot drops into the defensive line to ping balls from deep. The right winger stays wider. All the attacking midfielders can roam from position. Instructions are minimal: narrow width, short goal kicks, dribbling encouraged, and players given freedom to be more creative. Out of possession, it's a counter press that drops into a mid-block. Is this going to be enough to survive? The game certainly doesn't think so. We're not just predicted to finish last, but so far adrift of the next worst team that we could be in for a record low points finish. So let's find out. Here's how it works. I set training for the season. Same schedules as before, just with match day now moved to Sundays. I holiday between games. Pick the starting lineup, then hit instant result. I rest all the starters for an extra day. Repeat ad nauseum. Let me tell you, beating fellow promotees Reims in the opening game felt good. Holding reigning champions Paris Saint-Germain to a draw in the very next game, even better. A win over Toulouse gave us 7 points in our first 3 games. Defeats to Rennes, Nice and Strasbourg followed as we hit our first slump, 5 games without a win. But an international break gave us respite and we bounced back emphatically, a 3-0 win over Lille. The draws against Brest and Monaco were respectable, a 4-2 thumping at the hands of Auxerre less so. With the winter break looming, we hit some form with victories over Metz, Paris, and then an absolute drubbing of RC Lens. Astonishingly 7th at the halfway point, although we were closer to the relegation zone than 2nd. Rennes knocked us out of the French Cup, then they beat us again in the league just 2 weeks later. That started a run of just 1 win in 8 games. Defeats to Lyon, PSG and Marseille were understandable. A draw against Strasbourg is respectable, but points dropped to Havre less so. A 7-goal thriller against Lille might not have gone our way, but we're here for the entertainment, and these are the kind of defeats I'm happy to see. We got back on track against Brest, with Bruni and Simba scoring his 15th goal of the season. He scored again with the winner against Metz, before wrapping up his account for the season in a 3-2 defeat away to Lens. Our season ended with a trip to Toulouse, where Bardet's 73rd minute winner finished the campaign on a high. That got us a 10th place finish. Not bad. 102 goals across 34 games is exactly 3 goals per game, which I think is a pretty entertaining return, but 7 teams were involved in more goals. Bruno and Simba scored 17 of those, putting him joint top with Enzo Bardet for the most goal contributions in the team. Bardet was the only player with a 7+ average rating, although Charles and Yassine only just missed out on that honour. The real stars though were Riyad Hashim and Alec Georgian. They registered an excitement factor score of 143 and 140 respectively. Amadou Sagna, Enzo Bardet and Antoine Sigongo also finished with above average scores here. All in all, a fantastic season, but we have regressed in terms of entertainment. That's to be expected. We went from being one of the best teams in our division to being expected to finish bottom. We made an absolute mockery of that prediction, but we still need to improve. The metric needs to improve. Then join me in the next episode, where we'll refine excitement factor further by incorporating actions in deeper areas of the pitch. We'll then use that to hopefully unearth some more undervalued gems and launch our assault on Season 3. See you then. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing. And if you want to support the channel further, you can join these wonderful folk currently adorning your screen. either as a YouTube member or Patreon, where you'll get access to a raft of benefits, including director's cut videos. Details, as always, in the description below.